Welcome everybody to day 2 of Digital Entertainment World. I just want to say first off that yesterday was really amazing. I am impressed with how many fantastic people we have participating in the event. The chat was dynamic, great questions, and thank you to all the great speakers who shared their time with us yesterday. It couldn't have been a better start to the event. And, as you know, this is a 5-day event. Today starts our brands and entertainment track, and we have a real treat in store for you. We'll be running 4 panels today. We start right now, and we will be ending at 1:45 Pacific. We'll try to have 15 minutes between each session so that people have time to do things and take breaks. I encourage everyone, as always, to introduce themselves in the chat. And kind of on the theme of what we're going to be talking about this morning, if you are using an exercise machine, I'd love to hear about it in the chat, and particularly if it's a Peloton, but we're open to hearing about any experiences you're having using exercise machines, media. I am really excited about this panel coming up. As you know, I run the digital entertainment department at Manat, and we're doing deals with celebrities and influencers on all kinds of emerging platforms. I don't think we've done a Peloton deal, at least not my group, but I'm really interested to hear kind of, how you're sourcing your talent and how those deals are being done. It might be another panel for some time to talk about, Jen and Shirley. But without further ado, let me introduce our speakers today. First of all, our topic is Peloton Studios, bringing entertainment, celebrity, and live TV to fitness. And we are very fortunate to have Jen Cotter, Chief Content Officer of Peloton. Welcome, Jen.
Thanks for having me.
And with her today is Shirley Halperin, Executive Editor of Music at Variety. Welcome, Shirley. Take it away.
Thanks so much for having both of us. This is really exciting. I will kick it off right here and right now. Jen, thanks for being with us. First, because I have the floor, I'm going to take this opportunity to do my own virtual suggestions for Peloton. So let me just throw some at you. Will there be a day when you can pick your own playlist by BPMs, beats per minute? That would be nice. I would like to make my own playlist. You don't have to answer because there's a whole bunch of them.
Oh, okay. You're just going to, okay. I'm writing them down.
I'm just going to rattle them off for you.
Okay, great.
How about a lyric scroll for the writers? I would like to see my lyrics as I'm, singing along. And while we're talking about it, how about a lyric scroll for the instructors? I'm looking at Jen Sherman specifically, who sometimes gets the lyrics wrong, which for a music editor like me, another question, where's the pause button? Sometimes you gotta pee, you gotta go check on your kids, you gotta do something. The pause needs to be there. When can I watch Netflix while I'm writing? When can I, just have the news on? When is the Drake class coming? I need some Drake right away.
Write that one down.
Wish I could play my own music on the scenic ride. I'm riding through like the south of France, I want to have my tunes on. And how about some fireworks when you break your own personal record? I mean, give me something. It is so hard to achieve. And my last suggestion, could we please make a 60-minute spin class count as 2 30-minute classes? Those things are so hard.
Okay, I'm working backwards. I have a couple thoughts. Pause is something many of our members ask for. It has to do with the leaderboard and the nature of you're actually competing in real time in classes. Jen Sherman, no. Part of her charm is that she kind of screws up lyrics, but her commitment to excellence, and I will provide the feedback to her, is that she wants to get better and better. In terms of you seeing the lyrics, if you put closed captioning on, you would be able to see the lyrics, because today I took a class and Hannah Frankson was doing the rap from Kanye and Estelle, American Boy. And I was reading, I was like, oh, I don't think I ever realized it actually said that. So yeah, we have some solutions for you. I think there was some more in there, but we'll get to them.
Well, the reason that I threw these out there and I'm bombarding you with suggestions is because people are so dedicated to their Peloton, to their time on the Peloton, to the network and the community of it. And I'm sure that as soon as you tell someone you work at Peloton, they probably bombard you with suggestions like this. So I'm sure nothing new for you. But tell me, if you could, Jen, you have a really tremendous job at this booming platform. How does it speak to the dedication and engagement of the Peloton user that we've all been sort of sucked into this world?
It's really, I would describe myself in life as not really a fanatic. I love fanatics, and I'm marveled by people who love something so much, but I was always on the sidelines, like even when I did CrossFit. And so this world of Peloton, as it relates to the community and the various levels of expertise and the commonality amongst a group of people, 4.4 million members wanting to come together for something great and just be in a safe space and a time in the universe where nothing is consistent, and be together and support each other, is humbling as a member, because I've been a member for over 4 years. So, and I've only been at Peloton for less than 2. So it's really something. And I would say, to answer your question, when you walk down the street in a Peloton shirt, people always say something. And generally this is an anomaly, because I'm usually like head to toe Peloton. Almost, my kids would tell you, to an embarrassing extent. And that's not really as an employee, that's as a member. But when people ask me, it's hard for me not to be like, I work there, but inevitably it comes out. And, it's really nice to work at a company that people care so much about. And I don't think one employee takes that for granted. It's like, who gets to say that in their career? And the culture at Peloton is, as everyone who has a Peloton would want it to be, respectful and kind. And most people are members, but you don't have to be members. Not everyone's in great shape. It's like really it's just like, come as you are, both as a company and as a membership community. So we really value that. And a lot of what we do is based on the member feedback. That's true. I mean, members email me incessantly. They get my email off like a Facebook group. There's Facebook groups that are really committed, Instagram groups, and they are really honest about their feedback, both what they love and what they don't love.
It's amazing. It's actually amazing to watch Peloton develop when you're a part of the ecosystem too, because there are updates going on constantly, and there are new sort of like bells and whistles coming at you. I'm particular to the artist series. I love being able to just choose a catalog and really engross myself in it. So yeah, it's really been wonderful.
I forget if I asked you, do you have a favorite? What was your favorite artist series?
Well, I think we did talk about this. I love the Prince one.
Yes.
Beyonce, of course.
Of course.
I've done the Beatles a bunch of times. I've done Elvis a bunch of times. And the 30-minute Miley Cyrus class is really excellent.
It was so good. Yeah,
really
for those that are listening and aren't Peloton members, we have about 14,000 fitness classes in our library at all times, and they're all amazing. You could pick any single one and be like, that was a great workout, and they told me what I was doing, and I didn't have to be an expert. Or if you're an expert, you just like go to the top of the leaderboard. But and I know we're going to talk about this, but one of the things we love is like our events where we pull our community together, an artist series, the value of music and working out in general, certainly at Peloton, is really critical to our success. So we do this thing called artist series. And my favorite was Beyonce. It's one of the only rides I've taken more than once, because there's so many to take. Why would I have to retake them? But that's also an example of some other things we're working on. So I know we'll get to that. But yeah, the artist series are very special. Our instructors are also a special part of our brand, but we don't want to presume. We want something for everybody. So if you love our instructors, we want to give you a variety of who they are and what they represent. And if you're here for music like you are, we want to make sure that experience can be refreshing and exciting every day.
I mean, and as a music person, to have such a a committed audience, fully absorbed in what they're listening to, being able to discover new music, save it, play it later on a Spotify playlist. Like, it really is as much a music discovery outlet as it is, like an exercise bike, which I think is just amazing. It's one of the things that really attracted me to Peloton.
Yeah, and it then becomes part of the experience. When I hear songs in a ride, and then what we call like there's a heart on the screen, and you can click it, and then it goes to your Apple Music or your Spotify playlist automatically. And I listen to that playlist incessantly, and it reminds me of the rides. It reminds me of the day I took the ride. It's like a whole new layer of appreciation for the music. So yeah, it's something that our legacy was in boutique fitness, and we really were in a basement in 23rd Street. Up until right before the pandemic. Our new studio opened on March 18th of last year. And so that grit, that like, we've got a great instructor who has a vision, we've got this cool music, people are in there in a small room. It is part of, I think, why people find us to be really authentic. It's something we take super seriously as we grow. We never want to be, we don't want to lose that. That legacy is critical to why we're unique.
Excellent. Well, so tell us a little bit about your background, because you come from the TV world, and I was surprised to learn, and some of it I learned while I'm on the bike, some of it I've learned from talking to you, that there's an actual broadcast studio. There's a producer in the instructor's ears. Obviously, there's computers and things are timed precisely. Tell me about like what skills from traditional media have you adapted in your position at Peloton, and tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I started my career in comedy, believe it or not. And I love that, taught me a lot about what makes somebody that's on camera, how to bring their voice to camera, watching someone that was a funny stand-up comedian develop a sitcom and then something gets lost in translation was a very interesting experience for me. So I worked for David Letterman and then went out and worked in LA for a while for the producer of Letterman, a guy named Robert Morton, who's still a mentor and a colleague, and then started working with on-air talent really specifically. And I was at the Oxygen network for many years where I helped shape the programming and the launch talent for that network. So that was, a really unique experience working with Jerry Laybourne and Lisa Gersh and Karen Mandebach. I mean, really like leaders in this space. That was a very cool experience. And we did have a lot of live TV at that point. Like a lot of the Oxygen strategy was about live. There was a live finance show and a live yoga class. So that's where I really got the combination of talent and live. I stayed there for a long time. I loved Oxygen. And then I went to HSN, Home Shopping Network in Florida. Now that was like a left turn because I had this career. I was young. I had a great development job. I developed programming like Snapped and Girls Behaving Badly. And I started to recognize this like interesting little weird thing you could do if you picked like a great piece of talent and a unique extreme concept and bring it to television. And then I went to Home Shopping Network, which was totally different, but similar in that the hosts on the Home Shopping Network are the stars of that show. Not only are they why people love it, but they deserve that level of trust and respect. They care very much about their jobs. They research product. I mean, things most people really don't even know about that business. It's very powerful, the billion-dollar business, and it's a 24-hour live network. So I had a team of like 500 people. I mean, it was a cool experience that I loved very much. But when you go to a store in an HSN sweatshirt, no one's stopping you to like ask about anything. Like they're like, oh, HSN's still on the air, which I enjoyed because I'm kind of like an underdog by nature. And so back to Peloton, my job at Peloton is almost identical to my job at HSN. I oversee the studios. So we have like 4 pillars of the Peloton Studios, the instructors, which I can't say enough about. I hope we get to talk about them. The production studios themselves. So we have studios in New York and London. We produce thousands of classes, close to 1,000 a month right now in COVID. We have, as I mentioned, about 15,000 in our library that are constantly refreshed, and our event strategy. And then we have like our in-studio member experiences, something we're really excited about that unfortunately in both of our new studios, there are no members right now. So we're building to that. And then we have an original content division, Peloton Studios and this loyal membership base we have the permission to tell more of a conversation, and we're kind of carefully looking into what will that look like? What would the future of like content that goes beyond the class look like. So we do some of that now, and we'll do more in the future. And yeah, so that's the story of my life. And then I have some more kids and things like that. But separately, answering your question, the thing that I spend a lot of time thinking about this, because I'm sure most people here have a long history in traditional media to content and now streaming. And knowing that you have stars, knowing and recognizing, like I recognized at HSN, that whether you understand those stars or not, they are stars and they deserve respect and they deserve to be treated with respect. At Peloton, you would know that our stars are stars. I mean, we have 35 international instructors, and they should know how unique they are. They should want to be at Peloton forever. And that is my job, to make sure they feel as special and valued as they are. And that's been a through line of my career. No difference, no matter if you're at a retailer or if you're at a broadcast network. If you have stars, you need them to feel appreciated without going too far, of course. Another through line is programming. 15,000 classes is a great number, but who wants to fish through 15,000 classes? So we have a programming department, and that's how you know when there's an artist series, because we say, hey, look over here. Our community loves to come together. So if we create what we call either events or moments of disruption, we can get our community to come together and rally. And we love that. And I would say that's been true of my job at HSN, my job at Oxygen. If you create like little hits, people come still. And funny enough, in the fitness world, even maybe more so in the broadcast world, where we did a show called Sundays with Love every Sunday at noon. It's hard to get people to join a specific time anywhere in the content space right now. But for us, because you're coming together live as a community, we still had a little bit of that chance left. So yeah, so programming, curation, talent, infusing entertainment and celebrity wherever you can is always going to end up well. So those are the through lines from my old life.
So let's talk a little bit about the talent, because we all sort of, those of us who use Peloton daily, regularly, we become very attached to certain instructors.
Yes.
They're almost like life coaches in a weird way. And of course, I'm a Howard Stern listener too. And
yeah, me too.
Stern has given this platform to a couple of your instructors, namely Jen Sherman and Hannah. Yeah, that has really just like elevated their profile. So tell us a bit about like their credentials, their backgrounds,
Sure.
What they sort of bring to the table.
So I noticed there's a question in the chat as well about like what makes a great live host. And this is something that is true of my whole career. Trust and authenticity is the critical thing. The thing about a Peloton instructor, when I started in my last job at HSN, I thought that was the hardest job in the world. They're live every day. They have to research their products. And I think that the Peloton job's actually harder because they're also physically working out at a very high capacity at the time that they're doing this job. So they have to be on-air superstars, which anyone on this call now knows that's not easy. And most of us don't have that gift, but our instructors have that gift. So you have to have star quality. You have to be a world-class athlete, because we're asking you to work out while you're doing your job live on camera. And then you also have to have credentials in the space that you're speaking to. So they all have certifications. We don't let any instructor go on air. I'm seeing the comments in the chat with everyone's favorites. I mean, it's just like unbelievable what they do. They write their workouts, they craft their playlists. I think that was one of the questions. And they, show up, and they're great employees at Peloton. They're part of our community. They are involved in initiatives. So, but I would say the thing that is one I like still bow down to is the star quality. When you find someone who just has star quality, like, I saw Alex mentioned in the chat last night was his 5th anniversary. Great show, a class if you want to take it. Ali Love is a superstar. Robin Arzón is, if you like Robin Arzón, all I can say is she's exactly what you think she is. She's as badass as they come, and it's inspiring, and Cody Rigsby is a favorite of most people. He's funny. He's the closest, I would say, to someone I would have hired in my old life. But they're nice people. We don't really have anybody that's a diva. They work together as a team. That's something most people wouldn't think. They kind of operate as a professional, like, sports team. So they support each other and hold each other accountable. It's really special to watch and be adjacent to. I like to pretend I'm part of that team, but there's no way I could do that job.
Has there been like a huge growth of how many instructors you've had?
Yeah, a little bit. There's 35. We're in 4 countries and 3 of them have instructors. So Canada does not have any specific instructors at this point, but yeah, we don't, honestly, our goal is not to grow it to be like hundreds of people, because the intimacy that, the members that are here right now are putting in the chat is really a cool thing, that you feel like people, and you feel like if you met them, you would have a connection with them. And when our studios open, you can come and meet them, and they will be exactly as you think they would be. And that's something that isn't easy to find in the talent world. Forget that they're also world-class athletes. I can't believe the level of talent that we have at Peloton. I think I've hired maybe 6 or 7 instructors since I started, or 8, but there's 35. So like all of them were there. And the leaders on that team created this like magic that we're really very serious about keeping.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So we touched on this a little bit, the notion of discovery. There's entertainment value to the Peloton class. And, again, I work in music. I cover the music industry. When Peloton signed, a proper publishing licensing deal, it was a really big deal for music, because I think we all saw how much was being consumed through the exercise. So tell me about like the entertainment value of the Peloton class, the role of the music, and how you perceive it as part of the, the bigger picture.
Yeah, well, since the dawn of time, music has played a role in fitness, and certainly in boutique fitness, which was, again, like the genesis of Peloton. The thing about where we take this all like super seriously and love to like play around with it is, when you love Alex Toussaint and he loves hip hop, or he's a basketball fan. And we did in the beginning of the pandemic, we did a show around the finale of the documentary series, The Last Dance. And it was a natural. Alex loves basketball. He loves hip hop music. The soundtrack for The Last Dance was getting a ton of attention. And so he did this like special class. And it's like, it comes together. I can't even take much credit for it. It's the easiest thing in the world. It's meaning they do the work, and I just kind of hope I don't screw it up along the way. But he, when those things come together, when you see Ali do Beyonce, or you see an instructor named Tunde, who's also wonderful, and Alex, who now I've mentioned 10 times, co-hosted and kicked off our Beyonce event. And they had only done one other class together. And we didn't say who the artist was. We just announced that they were doing like a secret artist. So we really put effort, as you would have in your career, Shirley, to like making this moment where we revealed Beyonce cool and different, and not just like plump, there's Beyonce, come along. And every night was a different take on her music. And then the finale was really Ali Love doing a more like just a traditional Beyonce class, but they all had like heightened outfits, and the production value was like really above and beyond. So that's where we infuse entertainment, music, what we're good at, high levels of production quality. But we don't see that as an everyday endeavor, because that's like going to a concert with your friends. It's a ton of fun. But if it's, at 8 o'clock in the morning in my house, I kind of like Emma Lovewell with no makeup and just thinking, if I go faster, will I look like her? And there's something really like honest and easy about it.
I do love Emma. She's like my new favorite.
She's sober. She was did you see the Super Bowl commercial? She was in the Super Bowl commercial, the Miracle-Gro. I mean, you mentioned this, witnessing this as a member, seeing the star rise of Peloton is exciting. Knowing as an employee, it's real. And, we're doing everything we can to not like disrupt how much members love us is real. And then to see the instructors create this like level of superstardom it's really unbelievable.
Oh, so great. Okay, so we touched on this too. Peloton is partnered with several major artists.
Yes.
There's a Beatles ride, Beyonce, Calvin Harris was a recent one. You've also introduced themes like Black History Month, which we're currently in. What's the philosophy behind these activations? And is this something the music industry, should be paying more attention to? Do you see more of these sort of themed classes in the near future?
We do. We love a themed class. Again, that's probably only 20% of our portfolio, because we want to make sure we're for everybody. And as much as you and I might love an artist series, there's people that don't love it and want to do Power Zone or just get like a really hardcore workout. And that's something else as it relates to, this world we're in of streaming and content. You can never get too inside yourself. You have to know what your voice is, but you can't go so inside that you're becoming a caricature of yourself. And that's where we're hopefully super careful, because we want to be for anyone at any moment in their day that they may have wanted some like hardcore something this morning and they want something totally different later. Another thing to note about Peloton that is kind of interesting is that it's in fact 12 modalities. So there's cycling, there's tread, there's boot camp, there's bar, Pilates. So we also are using like this like secret sauce we're talking about to make sure that every modality we do has that same special reason for being. Strength is actually our biggest growing category. We're up 5 times year on year in terms of how many people use our strength programming. In September, we did like a little mini relaunch. 1 in 2 members tried a strength class, which, you know, that may not have been for them in August, but because of their trust in our brand and our knowledge of like how we could use the trust they have in us to say, come over here and just try this. It's going to add to your journey if you choose to do it. And 1 in 2 people did it. That's pretty remarkable, you know? So that's something that we keep looking forward to, like, how can we duplicate the thing we're talking about and was true a couple of years ago as we get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and I should mention, of course, there are a ton of classes to take at Peloton, and the thing about, you know, what I think helps make it so successful, and you know, the valuation is through the roof, and you guys have had a tremendous year. But one of those things is that it keeps people in the ecosystem. You know, if you do a spin ride or a cycling class, and the next thing that pops up is, why don't you try this yoga class? Why don't you try this, you know, the strength class? It does just, again, it just marries you to the platform even more.
Yeah, and you know, coming from an organization that would upsell you at HSN, and that's like a typical thing in retail, we're not doing that. We really want people to do yoga, because if you do yoga, your life will be better. If you're already here with us and you're already doing this much, if you take 10 minutes and do Rebecca Kennedy's like arms class, you're going to feel better potentially if that's something you're interested in. We have plenty of people who aren't interested in it, and we don't really mind. We just want you to stay. But it's also nice to know it's not necessarily, you're right, that's the outcome. We have low churn. Our members are evangelists, thank goodness. But we really also want to just keep our eye on how to make this member feel heard, valued. What else might he or she or they need to know as they get into their wellness journey? And that's something that we keep focused on. And we launched Bar and Pilates this year because of members. They told us, like, where's Bar? And then luckily Allie and Hannah happened to be like Bar experts, so they did a program for us. So it's yeah, we listen to our members all the time, and they are super passionate.
That's awesome. Well, you know, another thing is the celebrities that have become evangelists for you guys. You know, they don't even actually have to talk about it. The fact that Joe Biden, you know, has a Peloton in the White House is like the best publicity you could ever hope for. But it makes me think that the one thing that's really great about Peloton is that it really is a great equalizer. You know, it doesn't matter where you live, you know, what kind of shape you're in, you know, whether you're famous or not, whether you do selfies or, you know, post pictures of yourself or not. I would love for you to expand a little bit and talk more about the company's view of being for everyone. Was this something that had already existed when you came in?
Yes, it did. I certainly, as someone who bought the Peloton myself, being someone that was like pick last and kickball my entire life, and in hindsight deserved to be, I feel really inclusive. You know, you get the bike, you can make a million mistakes, you can be embarrassed clipping in the bike, there's no one else there, you can, you know, and you get good enough that you think, I'm good at this, like even in your own mind. I saw someone post the other night that they were the lowest on the leaderboard, and they were laughing, you know, because they were saying like, I thought I was doing so good, how could I possibly have been last out of 25,000 people? But it just is what it is. It's about continuing to try. Certainly this year, we saw that in a world of like uncertainty, having a safe space to just try and stay mentally focused, do something for yourself, do a little better than you did yesterday had such value. But that's always really been part of Peloton's DNA. We want it to be for everyone always. We never, in fact, someone just emailed me, you know, we get emails. I think some of the questions in the chat, and I know we have some questions in the Q&A box, we get pitched a lot of things. We will never be for weight loss. We will never talk about weight loss. It's not who we are. It's not important. We want everyone to feel that being healthy and well is something you define for yourself. hopefully we can provide some information and inspiration along the way, but we just want you to stay with us. That's really our goal. And so it's ever changing, you know, like I said, as our membership base gets bigger, we get more relevant as a brand. We have to pay attention to other things. It is exciting to think the president has a Peloton, not just because he's the president, but the idea that our instructors are like the mouthpiece into the ear of the president. How could anyone ever think that's like the not exciting? So it's something, it's humbling.
It's tremendous. One last question, and then we'll go to the audience. Peloton has seen really extraordinary growth during the pandemic. Like you said, you were about to open a studio in New York, and then lockdown happened. You know, it was already so successful, and it is now exponentially more successful. I mean, it's probably kind of hard to gloat in your success when it's such a strange time, but do you feel like the pandemic it's really just been the perfect time for Peloton in a weird way?
Yeah, we knew that this was a great platform. We know our quality of our product is unmatched. It's beautiful in your home. We know our instructors are completely world-class, and nobody can touch us with this group of instructors. You know, you've heard me say we pay attention to every detail: production quality, how many classes can we do, what do our members like and don't like. So we've always been doing that. And then when the pandemic happened and everyone was in our unrest, including our employees, if you remember, we had to shut down for a little while in March. And we used that time not only for 11 instructors to get trained in Pilates, which is how we did the Pilates launch later in the year, but we did live from home. And when we came out of that, Robin, our zone, did a live class from her home, and everyone was excited to see her house. But like 23,000 people joined her live with very little notice. And that's enough to sell out Madison Square Garden. That was before the big burst in our audience. So we knew then, this is special. People need us right now. And as the instructors have said in their class, the instructors needed it to do their job, to feel like they were putting something good in the world. And it was so symbiotic. We will do everything we can to keep everyone working out in their homes, because we know it has value. I mean, I gained an hour back a day driving back and forth to the CrossFit gym I used to go to. It's less money, it's a better experience. And the community, I know we're going to talk about that with questions. The evangelists of our brand, someone asked, how do you build evangelists? We didn't build evangelists. We did a high quality product. And again, I've only been there 18 months. I'm not taking a ton of credit for it. And people sense that we're good people who operate with integrity, and they're safe giving their trust to us. And being vulnerable with us is another part of it. You really are vulnerable in that moment where you're working out. And so they've created the community themselves. All of the Facebook and Instagram groups are not driven by Peloton. They're driven by other members, and the accountability and the support it's amazing.
Yeah. And the hashtags, where people are sort of joining, you know, communities with people that they don't even know, but they're, you know, part of the hashtag group. It's really phenomenal. I'm just so thankful that it exists. And, you know, the supply and demand situation is interesting right now because there's so much demand, and Peloton has really had to up its supply. But anyone who's waiting for a bike, just be patient, because it really will change your life. Yeah. Let's ask some of these questions from the audience.
Sure.
Robbie Baxter, we kind of touched on this, but I'd like to know a little more. Robbie asks, what makes a great live host? What do you recommend to them to make them better?
You know, there's a 101 of being a good host. And some people want to just be a star, and that you have to be both. Like in our case, you have to hand in your playlist on time so the crew knows what songs you're going to play. You have to write your workouts in a way that we can follow with the cameras. So there is a 101 to the job at Peloton and everywhere, because, you know, we've all worked with on-air talent that is either great at like hitting their mark or not, and it can be very disruptive. But again, you know, the star quality piece, and where I can't take any credit for that. Only the person's parents can take credit for that. But what I can take credit for is getting people to a place where they feel really comfortable and recognizing stardom in themselves. So Jess Sims is an instructor who's on Tread. She's a superstar. I mean, most of our instructors are superstars, thank goodness. But, you know, she had just gotten the job. And so, you know, and you want her to keep working as hard as she is, but allowing her to think she's a star and you might not be there yet, but you're going to be a star for us. It gives them permission to have that level of confidence. You know, we do everything to help the instructors. We help them with on-air camera training if they need it. We help them with like, what is your look and feel on air? What's your brand message is very important. Most of them come with a brand message, but we help, like, here's a good example of where you were great. Do more of that. You know, just like anywhere, we try and guide them, because what we don't want with our instructors is competition. I don't really need 5 Cody Rigsbys. I need to make Cody Rigsby stay at Peloton for the rest of his life. And Jen Sherman is super unique, and we want to keep her there and be happy. We don't need to go get another one. But there are qualities that span, and you know, we have foreign language markets like Germany, and so we want superstardom in every market. And then we also look at them like a global team.
I'm curious, do you guys do their hair and makeup?
We do not. You mentioned Prince, Allie and Emma did go get their hair and makeup done for that, and we paid for it, but we do not do hair and makeup. It is like a come as you are. These are, you know, completely physically fit human beings, but yeah, they do their own. And, you know, when we do artist series, we help them if they want to wear like a Britney t-shirt, we'll help them get the approved Britney t-shirt for them to wear. In the case of Beyonce, we did work with them on their wardrobe because it was supposed to feel like completely amplified, but mostly they do it themselves. They're really very talented. I mean, if you look at Ally Love and how much she changes her look, 90% of that is down to her.
Amazing. Okay,
yeah,
so
I'm amazed by it.
It's just the most wonderful thing. All right, Corey Sims asks, regarding artist series, do the instructors pick or choose the artists they select for their workouts? How did are they curated for them?
This is a funny Peloton story. If you care, if you don't, you should look it up because it makes me laugh. DJ John Michael, who co-hosts DJ series with some of the instructors on air, is actually like a local DJ in New York City. And he also works on our music team. So he's one example where DJ John Michael actually could help an instructor with their playlist if they wanted it. So say Drake, which I agree with you, we do need a Drake artist series. We announce we're going to do a Drake artist series. The instructors are allowed to volunteer for that based on their love of Drake. We really want them to love the artist, and then, or have a take on it. Like, I'm not a fan, but I'd love to research and talk about their childhood or whatever. And then they can build the playlist themselves, or our music team, who helps with the licensing and making sure our library is really robust, will help them. And that guy you see on air, DJ John Michael, actually does some of that off air, which I find funny because he's like this on air character and people think that's all he does, but he's actually works on our team as well. And he knows everything about music.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Simon Applebaum asks, we're now seeing a movement, pardon the pun, of interactive fitness programming services on smart TV sets and devices. What do you think about this development, and what new directions will Peloton take with its interactive content from here?
Yeah, we are on most streaming services. So if you have a Roku, if you have Apple TV, you can download the Peloton app and log in and do the content from your TV. And so that is why we do so much strength program and bar and Pilates. And that's really because we agree that it's actually a great experience. You know, if our tread and bike have beautiful screens, but you'll see people on Instagram that like cast it separately. So if you're doing a boot camp and you're on the tread, you can easily see your tread screen. Some people like to also watch the strength from their like big screen TV in their living room, or yoga or meditation at night. So we know we keep our eye on other people who are doing it, of course, as we should. And we also keep focused on how can we make ours the best ever so no one can catch us. And, you know, I mentioned earlier, I worked at Oxygen, which was like a #2 to Lifetime. So and then at HSN, which believe it or not is the #2 to QVC, a bigger, more powerful version of HSN. And so I'm used to being the underdog. And so I always look at the competition, but I have to say, being in this position, we just have to keep focused on our members and keep getting better and better at what we're doing. And hopefully none of those new fitness apps will catch us, but we wouldn't be foolish enough to think it's not possible. So we're not that delusional, but we also are proud of what we've accomplished.
You definitely have a solid head start. Do you limit, Derek Hildebrandt asks, do you limit or encourage your talent to do other endorsements and pursue outside business opportunities?
That's a great question. That's been something that we spend a lot of time on. When I started at Peloton, it was right when the instructors were starting to get some of those opportunities. And remember, we are a world-class tech business. We've only been in business 7 years about. We started developing the bike. We layered in this experience of the content and the instructors. So all of a sudden the instructors are getting these opportunities, and we need to be good partners to those instructors. So when I saw Emma on the Super Bowl, it gives me great pride. I don't think it matters if they do other things elsewhere, if that's what their personal interest is. We have a handful that love to do things outside of Peloton, and we have some that are happy to just work at Peloton, and that's great for us. So, you know, it's a necessity, I would say. It's just like if you're telling LeBron James he can't work with Nike, like, you know, there's not going to work like that. A relationship with top talent is a partnership. So that's how we treat it.
Got it. Well, another question about product, and I love the product too. I'm actually wearing my Peloton sneakers right now.
Oh, you're so good, Shirley. I'm not wearing anything Peloton. I should have been, but
I have the Grateful Dead collection, which I wear a lot and get a lot of comments when I'm out.
I'm so glad.
I know of what you speak. But Steve Stockman asks, can you talk about the relationship between programming and product development? Has Peloton, the manufacturer, discovered new product avenues driven by the audience to Peloton, the programming company?
Yes. So we work really closely with product. And when people ask me what's the biggest differentiator from like my life in broadcast television or in content, it's product. Like at no other network, we have a million obstacles that we don't face, but working with product is like a real thing. You may want to do something on like your tread or bike screen, and the product doesn't work like that today. And so, and when I started, it was really wired to be just to get as many classes in front of you as possible. But the partnership with that team, it's led by one of the founders, Tom Cortese. He's like the greatest guy in the world. Our CEO is a wonderful human being. Our president is like a wonderful, trusting human being. And this guy, Tom, is hilarious and also a great partner in figuring out like, how do we pivot so that if you go on your bike and you see there's like a promotional module now telling you what's coming up. That's one example where we're talking about ourselves more like we do, I'm sure Netflix does, about their experience. Like, we don't want to overwhelm our members. We want to make it really seamless. We understand a lot of what you are served in our experience is data driven, as it is for most of us, and it should be. But there's an art and science piece of like, well, we just dropped the Beatles and it was a surprise drop on Christmas. So we need to tell our members it's there. And that's some of the changes we're making together with product, but we do have to work very closely with them.
Excellent. All right, last question, and then we'll wrap this up. From David Bloom, what's the mix of celebrity-led sessions versus regular instructors? Actually, there are no celebrity-led.
There are no celebrity-led. We have done collaborations, like Al Roker did something for a philanthropic reason, and we did something in the summer, and we love when the celebrities, you know, go on their Instagrams and talk about us. But no, we will never be celebrity-led. Our instructors are world-class athletes and talent, but we do collaborations. We did something with DJ Mustard, we did something with Cam Newton, and that's a lot of fun because they come in as members. So whenever we talk about celebrities, they're generally being talked about as members, and then they're celebrity members.
Got it, got it. Well, Jen, thank you so much for being with us. Just to let everyone know how big of a success Peloton is, 4-point-something million subscribers. Digital subscriptions are up 470%. Its valuation is through the roof. This is a very, very successful, very young company, and I'm so excited to see where you go from here. And thank you for providing us with community and love and health during this really, really difficult time. Just on behalf of all the Peloton users, we thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. You are a legend in your own right. If everyone hasn't read all of your articles, they should. They're transformational. And I've enjoyed today. And I was trying to read along with the chat, but I'll try and catch up on all the comments. And look, Peloton's a unique place. We are this unique studio. We completely value the chance to get together with like-minded people and chat about this part of our business, which isn't always the thing we talk about. So thank you so much, Ned. This was wonderful.
Ned and Shirley, really appreciate it. You guys have inspired me. We have 15 minutes or 10 minutes before the next session. So go get a spin in, folks. If you have a Peloton.
Yeah, or there's something called Flash 15 on the Peloton.
There are 10-minute rides.
There are 10-minute rides, right? But make sure to join us back at the top of the hour. Our next session is on the entertainment marketing mix. We have a great panel with Taste Made, Game Loft, Team Whistle, Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud, and David Bloom, who asked that last question, will be moderating. So see us at the top of the hour. Thanks again, Shirley. Thanks, Jen. Really enjoyed it.
Have a great day, everyone. Thanks.